Welcome to FullStackDev. If you're a developer, team lead, or entrepreneur stepping into project management, this video series is your guide to success. Today, we'll dive into 40 essential terms across 40 scenes, starting with the fundamentals that set the stage for any project. We'll explore real-world coding examples, practical tips, and how these concepts can streamline your development workflows. Whether you're managing a small app build or a large-scale system, these insights will empower you. Let's dive into the first set of terms and build your expertise step by step. The kickoff is the exciting launch of your project, where you hold the first meeting to align goals, introduce the team, and set timelines. Imagine you're building a new web app. Your kickoff might involve your front-end and back-end developers, a designer, and a product owner gathering to discuss the app's purpose, key features like user authentication, and a rough timeline. Picture a launch party with everyone energized and ready to code. This term is your signal to rally the team, establish communication channels, and set the tone for collaboration. Use kickoff to mark the beginning of every new venture, ensuring everyone's on the same page from day one. Scope defines the boundaries and goals of your project, outlining what's included and what's off-limits. For example, if you're developing an e-commerce site, the scope might include product catalog and checkout system, but exclude advanced analytics features. Visualize events around your tasks, keeping the project focused. Without a clear scope, you risk scope creep, pun-controlled expansion of goals. As a full-stack dev, define your scope in the planning phase by listing features, setting milestones, and agreeing with stakeholders. This ensures your team doesn't waste time on extras, keeping your coding efforts efficient and targeted. A deliverable is the tangible outcome you produce and hand off to stakeholders, such as a completed API endpoint, a working UI prototype, or a fully tested mobile app. Think of it as the trophy you earn after a sprint, something concrete like a deployed feature that users can interact with. For a full-stack dev, deliverables might include a back-end database schema, a responsive front-end layout, or integration documentation. Tracking deliverables helps you measure progress and ensure you're meeting client or team expectations. Use this term to set clear targets and celebrate each completed piece of your project puzzle. WBs, or work breakdown structure, is a hierarchical breakdown of your project into manageable parts. Think of it as dividing a full-stack app into back-end, front-end, and testing phases. For instance, under back-end, you might list API development, database setup, and security features. Imagine a tree where each branch represents a task or deliverable, helping you and your team visualize the workload. As a developer, use WBS to assign tasks, estimate time, and identify dependencies, ensuring no detail is overlooked. This structured approach keeps your project organized and on track from start to finish. Stakeholders are all the individuals or groups impacted by your project: clients, team members, end users, or even investors. In a coding project, stakeholders might include the product manager requesting new features, the QA team ensuring quality, or users expecting a seamless experience. Picture a crowd watching your progress, each with a vested interest. Engaging stakeholders early through meetings or demos helps align their expectations with your deliverables. As a full-stack dev, keep stakeholders informed about milestones like a beta release to build trust and gather valuable feedback. An initiative is a project designed to achieve a specific business goal, such as launching a new product to increase revenue or improving an existing app to enhance user retention. For a full-stack dev, an initiative might involve building a scalable e-commerce platform to tap into a new market. Visualize a mission statement guiding your code, like deliver a 20% sales boost. Tie your initiatives to measurable outcomes and company objectives, ensuring your technical efforts support the bigger picture. This alignment keeps your work strategic and impactful. A roadmap is a high-level outline of your project's goals, vision, and timeline, serving as a guide for the entire team. For a software project, it might include phases like MVP development, beta testing, and full release, with dates for each. Picture a map guiding a road trip, marking key stops like feature launches or user feedback sessions. As a full-stack dev, use a roadmap to align your coding sprints with long-term objectives, communicate progress to stakeholders, and adapt to changes while keeping the end vision in sight. SOW, or Statement of Work, is a detailed document outlining the plan, schedule, scope, tasks, and deliverables. For a coding project, it might specify building a RESTful API, designing a responsive UI, and testing within a 6-week timeline. Imagine a contract laying out the game plan, signed by you and your client or team. As a full-stack dev, use the SOW to clarify expectations, allocate resources, and provide a reference point for progress reviews, ensuring everyone understands the project's roadmap and responsibilities. Capacity planning involves estimating the resources, time, people, and tools required to complete your project. For a coding sprint, this might mean assessing how many developers are needed for front-end and back-end tasks, plus server resources for testing. Visualize a checklist ensuring you have enough hands on deck and tools like cloud services ready. As a full-stack dev, use capacity planning to avoid overcommitting your team, prevent burnout, and ensure you have the infrastructure to deploy successfully, adjusting as needs evolve. Project sizing is the process of estimating the effort and time needed to complete a project. For instance, building a new login feature might take 20 hours of coding, testing, and review. Picture a timer ticking down as you break tasks into hours or days. As a full-stack dev, use project sizing to set realistic deadlines, allocate time for debugging, and communicate timelines to stakeholders. Accurate sizing prevents underestimation, helping you deliver on time and maintain credibility with your team and clients. A baseline is the original plan you establish at the project's start, used as a benchmark to compare progress. For a coding project, this might be the initial timeline and resource allocation for building a new feature set. Visualize a starting line in a race, marking where you began with details like expected completion dates and budget. As a full-stack dev, use the baseline to track deviations. Say, if a database optimization takes longer than planned, and adjust your strategy. Regularly comparing against the baseline helps you stay on course and justify changes to stakeholders with data-driven insights. A sprint is a focused 4-week period where your team works intensely to meet specific goals. In Agile development, a sprint might involve coding a new user dashboard with daily stand-ups to track progress. Picture a race with a finish line, where each day brings you closer to a working deliverable. As a full-stack dev, use sprints to break large projects into manageable chunks, like completing back-end logic in one sprint and front-end integration in the next. This rhythm boosts productivity, allows for quick feedback, and keeps your team motivated with regular wins. Scrum is an Agile framework promoting step-by-step progress through daily check-ins and roles like Scrum Master and Product Owner. For a dev team, it might mean a 15-minute stand-up each morning to discuss coding challenges, like debugging a payment gateway. Visualize a huddle before a play, where everyone syncs up. As a full-stack dev, adopt Scrum to foster collaboration, adapt to changes, like a sudden client request, and deliver incremental value, ensuring your project stays flexible and responsive to evolving needs. A backlog is a prioritized list of tasks or features waiting to be tackled, such as bug fixes, new APIs, or UI enhancements. For a coding project, your backlog might rank fixing a login error as high priority over adding a new color theme. Picture a to-do list with checkboxes, updated regularly during sprint planning. As a full-stack dev, maintain a clear backlog to manage workload, collaborate with your team on priorities, and ensure critical issues are addressed first, keeping your project aligned with user needs and deadlines. MVP, or minimum viable product, is the simplest version of your product that delivers value to users. For a full-stack dev, this might be a basic web app, with core functions like user registration and a homepage, launched to gather feedback. Visualize a rough draft that evolves into a polished product. Use the MVP approach to test ideas quickly, minimize initial development time, and iterate based on real user input, saving resources while building a foundation for future enhancements. GA, or general availability, is the public release date when your product or service becomes accessible to all users. For a software project, it might be the day your app hits the App Store after months of development and testing. Picture a launch event with users downloading and exploring your work. As a full-stack dev, use GA to plan marketing campaigns, finalize support documentation, and ensure your code is production-ready, marking a key milestone in your project's lifecycle. A retro, or retrospective, is a post-project review to reflect on what went well and what can improve for future efforts. For a dev team, it might involve discussing how a sprint's coding phase succeeded or where delays occurred, like a tricky database migration. Visualize a team debrief with a whiteboard of notes. As a full-stack dev, use retros to gather feedback from your peers, identify process bottlenecks, and refine your approach, turning lessons learned into actionable improvements for your next project. Scope creep occurs when project goals expand beyond the initial plan, often due to unchecked stakeholder requests. For a coding project, this might mean adding a new payment gateway mid-development, stretching your timeline. Picture a project ballooning out of control. As a full-stack dev, combat scope creep by reinforcing your defined scope, documenting change requests, and getting approval before expanding tasks, ensuring your team stays focused and your project remains deliverable. A risk is a potential threat that could derail your project goals, such as a server outage or a key developer leaving. For a full-stack dev, a risk might be a third-party API failing during a critical phase. Visualize a warning sign flashing on your dashboard. Identify risks early by assessing your tech stack and team availability, then plan mitigations like backups or cross-training to keep your project on track despite uncertainties. An issue is a risk that has materialized, requiring immediate action, like a critical bug discovered just before launch. For a dev, this might mean a security flaw in your authentication system needing a hot fix. Picture a red alert popping up on your screen. As a full-stack dev, address issues by prioritizing fixes, documenting the resolution, and communicating with stakeholders to maintain trust, turning challenges into opportunities for improvement. Risk management is the process of identifying, assessing, and handling potential issues to minimize their impact. For a coding project, this might involve planning for a potential server downtime by setting up a failover system or training team members on critical tasks. Visualize a shield protecting your project. As a full-stack dev, implement risk management by conducting risk assessments during planning, creating contingency plans, and regularly reviewing them, ensuring your project remains resilient against unforeseen challenges. Open issues are unresolved concerns that need attention, such as a reported UI glitch or a pending code review. For a dev team, this might include a feature not working as expected in testing. Picture an open case file on your desk. As a full-stack dev, maintain a log of open issues. Prioritize them based on impact, like fixing a crash before a cosmetic tweak, and assign ownership to ensure they're addressed, keeping your project moving forward smoothly. Impact analysis evaluates how changes affect your project, such as adding a new feature mid-sprint or updating a library. For a full-stack dev, this might mean assessing how a database schema change impacts existing queries and front-end code. Visualize a ripple effect spreading through your system. Conduct impact analysis by mapping dependencies, estimating additional effort, and consulting stakeholders, ensuring changes enhance rather than disrupt your project's progress. A burn-down chart visually tracks completed tasks versus remaining work over time, helping you monitor sprint progress. For a coding project, it might show how many user stories are done versus those still in development. Picture a graph trending downward as you check off tasks like AP endpoints. As a full-stack dev, use burn-down charts and daily stand-ups to identify slowdowns, say, a complex bug, and adjust your pace, ensuring you meet sprint goals and deliver on time. Strategy is the overarching plan to achieve your project objectives, such as choosing a microservices architecture to improve scalability. For a full-stack dev, this might involve deciding to use Docker for deployment to meet performance goals. Visualize a chessboard move carefully planned for success. Develop your strategy during the kickoff, aligning it with stakeholder needs and technical feasibility, and refine it as you gather insights, ensuring your project delivers maximum value. Iteration is a cycle of development, testing, and improvement based on feedback, like refining a UI after user testing. For a coding project, it might involve multiple rounds of tweaking a search algorithm. Picture a loop where each turn enhances your product. As a full-stack dev, use iterations to incrementally build features, address bugs, and incorporate stakeholder input, fostering a culture of continuous improvement and delivering a polished final product. A milestone marks significant achievements or phases, such as completing a database migration or launching a beta version. For a full-stack dev, milestones might include integrating front-end and back-end or passing a security audit. Visualize a checkpoint flag waved by your team. Celebrate milestones to boost morale, update stakeholders on progress, and use them as deadlines to maintain momentum, ensuring each step brings you closer to the finish line. QA, or quality assurance, is the process of ensuring your project outcomes meet predefined standards, like testing code for bugs or verifying UI responsiveness. For a dev project, QAA might involve automated tests for a new feature and manual checks for usability. Picture a quality stamp on your work. As a full-stack dev, integrate QAA throughout development. Unit tests for back-end logic, cross-browser checks for front-end, to deliver a reliable product that satisfies users and stakeholders alike. A blocker is a significant obstacle halting project progress, such as a critical bug preventing deployment or a missing dependency stalling development. For a full-stack dev, a blocker might be a failed API integration that stops front-end work. Visualize a roadblock on your path. Identify blockers quickly during stand-ups or code reviews, escalate them if needed, and resolve them with team collaboration to keep your project moving forward without major delays. Management reserve is a contingency budget set aside for unexpected risks, like sudden hardware upgrades or additional testing due to a security flaw. For a coding project, it might cover overtime for devs to fix an urgent issue. Picture a safety net catching you when plans falter. As a full-stack dev, plan your management reserve during budgeting, allocate it wisely for emergencies, and document its use to maintain transparency with stakeholders, ensuring your project can handle surprises without derailing. A dependency is a task that relies on the completion of another, such as front-end development, depending on back-end AP endpoints being ready. For a full-stack dev, this might mean waiting for a database schema to be finalized before coding queries. Visualize linked chains where one break affects the rest. Map dependencies during WBS creation, communicate them to your team, and adjust schedules to avoid bottlenecks, ensuring a smooth workflow across your project. Resource allocation involves assigning team members and tools to specific tasks, like designating a senior dev for back-end optimization and a junior for UI tweaks, plus securing cloud servers. Picture a puzzle coming together with each piece in place. As a full-stack dev, use resource allocation to balance workloads, ensure you have tools like Git or Docker ready, and adjust as needs change, optimizing your team's efficiency and project outcome. The critical path is the longest sequence of dependent tasks determining your project's minimum completion time. For a coding project, it might be designing the database, building APIs, and integrating the front end. Visualize a tightrope you must walk without delay. As a full-stack dev, identify the critical path using tools like Gantt charts, focus resources there to avoid delays, and monitor it closely, as any slip-up could push back your entire timeline. Escalation is the process of raising critical issues to higher management or experts, like flagging a major security breach to your CTO. For a dev, it might involve escalating a failed deployment to the infrastructure team. Picture an alarm sounding to alert the right people. As a full-stack dev, know when to escalate, when a blocker can't be resolved within your team, and follow a clear protocol to ensure swift resolution, protecting your project's integrity. Agile is a flexible, iterative approach to project management, emphasizing adaptability and customer feedback over rigid plans. For a full-stack dev, this might mean using Agile to develop a web app in 2-week sprints, adjusting features based on user testing results. Visualize a flowing river adapting to its course. Adopt Agile to embrace change, like a client adding a new payment method. Deliver working software frequently, and collaborate closely with your team, ensuring your project evolves with real-world needs. Kanban is a visual workflow management method using boards to track tasks through columns like to do, in progress, and done. For a dev project, it might show a task for coding a login page moving from planning to testing. Picture a digital board with sticky notes shifting across lanes. As a full-stack dev, use Kanban to manage ongoing work, limit work in progress to avoid overload, and provide transparency to your team, ensuring a steady flow of completed features. Velocity measures the amount of work your team completes in a sprint, typically in story points or hours, to predict future performance. For a coding team, if you finish 20 points in one sprint, velocity helps plan the next. Visualize a speedometer showing your team's pace. As a full-stack dev, track velocity over multiple sprints to refine estimates, allocate tasks effectively, and set realistic goals, improving your project's predictability and success rate. Technical debt is the implied cost of additional rework caused by choosing quick, suboptimal solutions over best practices, like skipping code refactoring. For a full-stack dev, this might mean a rushed AP that later requires a complete overhaul. Visualize a loan piling up interest. Manage technical debt by documenting it, scheduling time to address it in future sprints, and balancing speed with quality, ensuring long-term maintainability of your code base. Code review is a process where peers evaluate code for quality, bugs, and adherence to standards before merging. For a full-stack dev, this might involve a teammate checking your JavaScript for optimization or security issues. Picture a magnifying glass over your code. Conduct code reviews regularly, using tools like GitHub pull requests to catch errors early, improve code quality, and foster knowledge sharing within your team, strengthening your project's foundation. Deployment is the process of releasing your code to a production environment where users can access it, like pushing a new feature to a live server. For a full-stack dev, this might involve using CI/CD pipelines to deploy a back-end update. Visualize a rocket launch marking your go-live moment. Plan deployments with testing and rollback options, communicate changes to users, and monitor performance post-launch to ensure a smooth transition and user satisfaction. Rollback is a contingency plan to revert to a previous stable version if a deployment fails, like undoing a buggy code release. For a full-stack dev, this might mean reverting to a backup after a database migration error. Visualize a safety switch flipping back. Implement rollback strategies, such as maintaining version backups or using feature toggles, to minimize downtime, Protect user experience and allow your team to troubleshoot without panic. User acceptance testing, WAT, is the final testing phase where end users validate that the product meets their needs, like testing a new e-commerce checkout. For a full-stack dev, this might involve users trying your app's payment flow. Visualize real users giving a thumbs up. Conduct U8 with a representative group. Gather feedback on usability and functionality, and make final tweaks, ensuring your project delivers value and aligns with user expectations before full release. Change request is a formal proposal to alter the project scope, such as adding a new feature like a chat module. For a full-stack dev, this might require assessing the impact on timeline and resources. Visualize a document with a signature line. Handle change requests by documenting the need, conducting an impact analysis, and seeking stakeholder approval, ensuring changes are justified and integrated without derailing your project. Postmortem is a detailed analysis after project completion or failure to learn lessons and improve. For a dev project, it might involve reviewing why a deadline was missed, like underestimating testing time. Visualize a team reflection session with charts. As a full-stack dev, conduct a postmortem to document successes and failures, share insights with your team, and apply lessons to future projects, turning every experience into a growth opportunity. A Gantt chart is a visual timeline showing tasks, durations, and dependencies used to plan and track project progress. For a coding project, it might display API development overlapping with UI design, highlighting the critical path. Visualize a bar chart mapping your project's journey. As a full-stack dev, use Gantt charts to schedule tasks, monitor milestones like a beta release, and communicate timelines to stakeholders, ensuring everyone sees the big picture and stays aligned. A stand-up is a short daily meeting where team members share updates on progress, plans, and blockers, typically in Agile or Scrum. For a dev team, it might involve discussing a bug in the payment system or planning today's coding tasks. Picture a quick huddle, keeping everyone in sync. As a full-stack dev, use stand-ups to stay informed, address blockers like a missing API, and foster team collaboration, ensuring your project stays on track with daily momentum. A user story describes a feature from the user's perspective, typically in the format, as a user, I want a feature so that you benefit. For a full-stack dev, it might be, as a shopper, I want a search bar so I can find products quickly. Visualize a note card capturing user needs. Use user stories to prioritize features in your backlog, align development with user goals, and ensure your code delivers value like a seamless checkout experience. Refactoring is the process of improving code structure without changing its functionality, like reorganizing a cluttered API for clarity. For a full-stack dev, it might involve simplifying database queries to boost performance. Visualize tidying up a messy codebase. Schedule refactoring in sprints to reduce technical debt, improve maintainability, and ensure your code remains scalable, making future updates easier and more efficient for your team. Continuous integration. SAI automates merging and testing code changes frequently to catch issues early. For a full-stack dev, it might mean using Jenkins to run tests on every Git commit. Visualize a pipeline catching bugs before they grow. Implement C to ensure your team's code integrates smoothly, reduce merge conflicts, and maintain a stable code base, enabling faster and more reliable deployments throughout your project. Feature freeze is a phase where no new features are added to stabilize the product before release, focusing on bug fixes and testing. For a full-stack dev, it might mean stopping new UI additions to polish a login system. Visualize locking a toolbox to finalize your work. Use feature freeze to ensure your code is stable for GA, address critical issues, and avoid last-minute scope creep, delivering a reliable product to users. You've now conquered 40 project management terms across 40 scenes. Fantastic work! Apply milestone to celebrate your next feature launch, deployment to roll out your code, or postmortem to refine your process. These skills will transform your coding projects. Thank you for joining this journey on FullStackDev. Smash that like button, subscribe, and share your favorite term or a project tip in the comments. Let's keep growing your expertise together. See you in the next video.